Hello and welcome back. This is video number 4, and we're going to talk about the ring, which is the strategy. So in the previous video, we discussed why having different social media properties interlinked together can help Google see you as a brand who is sharing your content to your audience. In other words, these aren't just random backlinks, but links from big sites that are branded towards your company. And this is why this is super targeted and is much more powerful than a simple backlink. Makes sense? So now let's take a look at what this looks like in real life. So let's head on over to our nifty mind mapping software. I'm going to map things out so that you're going to be able to visually see how it all works. Okay, so to better understand how this works, we're going to map things out. Now, before we map things out, I want to start with some basics, and let's just pull this out here. So essentially the concept here is, as you're building your brand, you're going to have many different social properties. And let's say, for example, this is the Facebook fan page. So that's your fan page. And we've got the YouTube channel over here because that is our end goal, is to have our YouTube channel get ranked higher. So essentially what we're doing is we're getting a backlink from this to here. And this could be Facebook, it could be Twitter, it could be Instagram, it could be any other social media platform. But it has to be branded towards you. It can't just be somebody else's fan page unless it is actually related. But if it's related and if it's branded as yours and it's linking to your YouTube channel, that essentially is a vote of confidence, but also it shows YouTube that you're interlinking. So that's basically the concept here. Now, if we dig a little deeper, basically what we want to set up is every time we upload a YouTube video and it gets posted, maybe it gets posted publicly, what ends up happening is we push that YouTube video and get it embedded onto the Facebook fan page, the Twitter page, the WordPress page, and all of that. So we'll put Twitter. And we'll do WordPress. So as you can imagine, you've got the centerpiece here. You've got different social media platforms that are posted. Now, there isn't necessarily a set rule where you have to post it to X amount of social media properties. It can be 5, it can be 10, it could be 20, it could be different social media platforms. But in order to execute this and get it correctly, you will need to make sure that the platform that we use to automate this process actually supports that specific social media platform. So essentially this is what works, and this is basically what it is. So obviously, in order to get this to work, you'll need to have a YouTube channel, you'll need to have the Facebook fan page, you'll need to have all these items in hand. So you'll need to have the username and password and all that. And we'll talk more about account creation later, but I just wanted to give you kind of a gist of what everything looks like and the visual map of it all. So it's nothing new that YouTube is a huge source of traffic for your products and services. Video marketing is one of the easiest ways to get highly targeted traffic, but you have to do it right. If you do it wrong and simply upload a video to YouTube in hopes that it'll get ranked both on YouTube and Google, then you won't be as effective. Now, that may have worked back in 2005, where you could simply just throw a couple backlinks at it, upload a video, but today it's different. Plus, on top of that, there are tons and tons of different marketing strategies out there online. So understanding what Google wants and making sure that what you do looks as natural as possible is the key here. So to help you out, we've created a brand new 8-part step-by-step video course that shows you how to rank your YouTube channel and generate traffic to your products, affiliate products, and more. So in this specific video training course, you're going to get a step-by-step, click-by-click, watch over my shoulder and learn how to take your YouTube channel to brand new heights. So here's a quick overview of what's inside this video course. Video number 1 is the introduction. We talk about how to get in the right mindset, the things that you need to have to get started. Video number 2, we'll talk about what this is not, because there's a lot of assumptions around in the world, especially the online marketing world, and we don't want to get mixed in with a lot of that nonsense. So we want to cover that first so that you don't make the same mistakes as everybody else. Video number 3, we'll talk about what Google wants and the strategy. And then of course we'll dive into the strategy in video number 4, which is the ring. And we'll talk about how to automate the ring in video number 5. Video number 6, we'll talk about how to create accounts so that they don't get banned, so they last long term. And video number 7, we'll talk about outsourcing, all that, because yes, it definitely is a tedious process, but once it's set up, it can really help you rank really well. And of course, video number 8, we'll talk about how to test it out, how to make sure it works, what things to watch out for. So go ahead and grab this video course today and begin generating targeted video traffic for your products the right way. Hello and welcome to video number 6, and we're going to talk about account creation. Okay, so obviously in order to set up the IFTTT ring, you need to have accounts for all of your branded social properties. So in other words, you need to have the username and password for Facebook, for Twitter, for all the other social media properties. Now, obviously, if you already have some, then great. You don't have to create those. But for the ones that you do not have, you want to be able to create those. Now, while that does sound very simple, there's a few things that you really need to focus on. So to make sure that you're successfully able to do this without risking your accounts being closed, and that does happen, we're going to cover a few things that you must do with all of your accounts. In fact, some of our accounts have been banned or closed by mistake because it has to be done a certain way. So you need to make sure that you have everything correct. Now, first, you need to have an email address, preferably a Gmail account or an email account that is reliable. And you need to have one email address for that. Typically, you want to have something that is branded as well, because you never know with these social media platforms if they're analyzing every step of the process. Now, most social media accounts we have found require you to have a unique telephone number. So you will need to use either yours or you'll need to get one. If you don't have one and you don't want to use your personal telephone, there are several places to get unique telephone numbers that can be used for both voice and SMS. And the reason why you want to have it for SMS as well is because some of these social media platforms will send you a text message. Now, one in particular that we use is called line2.com. That's line2.com. And of course, there are many out there, but this is just one that we have tested and it works really well. So a lot of times when you create a brand new social media property, an account, you need to have a unique telephone number. Now, the reason for needing a unique telephone number is because most social media platforms, they really want to make sure that you are legitimate, especially nowadays. They have a lot of checks and balances and things that you need to get around to make sure that your account stays open. In fact, recently Facebook has been on a major crackdown, especially with everything that's been going on in the news. They want to make sure that you are legit and that you are not fake. Another thing is you'll also need to have a short bio, a description about your business, your website URL, a picture that is yours and a professional, or if you don't have your picture, you can use a professionally royalty-free stock photo. Now, why do you need all this information? Well, the reason why you need all this information is because when it comes to account creation, you are going to need to have every piece of these items in hand to copy and paste over. Obviously, if you outsource this process, it's going to be a lot easier. And with that case, you're definitely going to need these items. And it's just going to make your life a lot easier when you're able to copy and paste and all of that. Your picture is actually very important because even Facebook will review photos on all accounts to make sure that fake accounts are not created. In fact, we created an account one time and it was using kind of a fake image. And even though it was royalty free and all of that, Facebook declined it and in fact did not approve the account. So they really want to make sure that your account is legitimate. Now, it's best if you take all this information and you write it out in an Excel spreadsheet so that you have it in hand, you have the username and passwords of all the social media properties, and you can simply log in and begin to create the accounts. So those are kind of the best practices that we have found over the years in terms of creating accounts. And while some of those seem very basic, the one that really stood out that was really important was making sure that you had that unique telephone number. Hello and welcome back. This is video number 3, and this is all about what Google wants and the strategy. Now, we don't know exactly whether this is true or not, but based on the data that we have seen and based on the data that not only has worked for us, but for many others, is that Google likes brands. Now, it's not necessarily that they are particularly liking brands because brands make a lot of money or anything like that, but what we've realized are certain variables that make a brand stand out. So they don't exactly go out and tell people that they like brands, but based on the data that we've seen, we have seen brands rank better. So why is that? Why is it that Google seems to rank brands better? It's because brands last long term and they oftentimes provide value. Remember, going back to what makes the visitors happy, it's the value that they are offering, right? At least the majority. So you'll notice that brands tend to have a really good following of fans that love their content. So why is that important? Well, their concern isn't really necessarily the brand, but giving people that are searching certain keywords on Google or YouTube, giving them what they want. Now, you'll notice that brands attract a consistent following as well. So Google likes it when they find that there's not only a good following, but a good engaging and good interaction. So their fans click and engage with their content more. And YouTube likes that. They love engagement. If you take a look at videos that rank really well, you'll notice commonality. And you'll notice that they have a lot of likes, they have a lot of comments. Essentially, they have engagement. And engagement is essentially the currency of YouTube. So whether somebody gets a bad comment or a good comment, a comment is a comment. A comment essentially, if you think about it, is worth about $1. Now, we're just saying that because it's like currency, engagement. Now, this means there is a higher CTR, or in other words, click-through rate. So if you have fans that really love a specific brand, they're most likely going to come back over and over again, right? So higher engagement is what Google likes to see. Higher engagement means that the fans really like the content. So this is based on the data that we have received and based on the data that we have observed. So the strategy here is to make sure that you look like a brand and you do backlinking like a brand. Make sense? So what does backlinking like a brand look like? Well, if you think about the visitors that are coming to that brand, they are looking at it, they're engaging with it, they're sharing it with their friends. Now, like I said earlier, there's no exact this is the way it is, but based on the data that we have gathered over the years and what we see what works and what hasn't, we can safely say that looking like a brand will be better for your YouTube channel. And of course, gathering a fan base and a good following that is interacting with your content is also key. Now, if you look at brands, they have many social properties besides YouTube channels. They've got Facebook.com, they have Twitter, they have Snapchat, and more. So it only makes sense for your brand to have the same properties in your brand name and interlinking to each other, right? So let's say, for example, that you upload a video to YouTube. Then it's going to make sense for you to post that same YouTube video or share it via Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, and more. So essentially, we're interlinking them together. And that kind of brings us to this strategy, which is the ring. You're basically interlinking everything together. So like I said, for example, you post a video on YouTube, it needs to be pushed to Twitter, your Facebook fan page, and other social properties. And fortunately, because everything is going to be automated, once you do that, it will trigger and it will automate the whole process. So it makes sense because your fans will be located at these different social properties. So some people will be at Facebook, some people will prefer Twitter, and some people will prefer maybe Snapchat or Instagram and other social properties. But if you think about it, it sounds very time consuming and tedious, right? And yes, it is, but once everything is set up, it will actually make your life a lot easier. But like I said, don't worry, we're going to show you how to speed things up with a few dollars. So with that said, let's move on to video number 4. So it's nothing new that YouTube is a huge source of traffic for your products and services. Video marketing is one of the easiest ways to get highly targeted traffic, but you have to do it right. If you do it wrong and simply upload a video to YouTube in hopes that it'll get ranked both on YouTube and Google, then you won't be as effective. Now, that may have worked back in 2005, where you could simply just throw a couple backlinks at it, upload a video, but today it's different. Plus, on top of that, there are tons and tons of different marketing strategies out there online. So understanding what Google wants and making sure that what you do looks as natural as possible is the key here. So to help you out, we've created a brand new 8-part step-by-step video course that shows you how to rank your YouTube channel and generate traffic to your products, affiliate products, and more. So in this specific video training course, you're going to get a step-by-step, click-by-click, watch over my shoulder, and learn how to take your YouTube channel to brand new heights. So here's a quick overview of what's inside this video course. Video number 1 is the introduction. We talk about how to get in the right mindset, the things that you need to have to get started. Video number 2, we'll talk about what this is not, because there's a lot of assumptions around in the world, especially the online marketing world, and we don't want to get mixed in with a lot of that nonsense. So we want to cover that first so that you don't make the same mistakes as everybody else. Video number 3, we'll talk about what Google wants and the strategy. And then of course we'll dive into the strategy in video number 4, which is the ring. And we'll talk about how to automate the ring in video number 5. Video number 6, we'll talk about how to create accounts so that they don't get banned, so they last long term. And video number 7, we'll talk about outsourcing, all that, because yes, it definitely is a tedious process, but once it's set up, it can really help you rank really well. And of course, video number 8, we'll talk about how to test it out, how to make sure it works, what things to watch out for. So go ahead and grab this video course today and begin generating targeted video traffic for your products the right way.